Phyllis is rushed to the hospital today on the young and the restless. Tucker seizes an opportunity, and Stark surprises the partygoers. Slowly clapping and hollering, "Congratulations to the Abbotts," is what Phyllis does at the event. "Congratulations. Bravo." After Summer's shocked, "Oh my God." Lauren tries to run with the comment, but Phyllis cuts her off to clarify that bravo refers to a performance, and that this is, in fact, quite the spectacle. Nick is heard saying, "What do you say we go and grab that cheeseburger now?" to Sally, and she exits the scene with him. Sharon asks Adam whether he's concerned about the baby as he watches. He is, and he politely requests her pardon. Sharon strongly recommends that he leave now. When Daniel and Summer make an effort to stop Phyllis, she insists on continuing because Diane has convinced everyone inside that she's a new person. Jack says, "Listen to your children," and Phyllis yells back, "I will go when I am good and ready. I shall leave this room only when I am completely ready to do so." She turns to Nikki and says, "You know what I'm talking about." Nikki remains mute as she asks whether anyone has an issue with the truth. Phyllis claims that because of that woman, she has lost everything. She makes a direct gesture at Diane. "It seems like I'm the only one who realizes that woman is just as dangerous now as she was when she pretended to be dead." Amanda warns Devin and Abby as they leave the GTAC, "Don't let me keep you." She recalled Abby saying her, "I'd hate to ruin your date," as she was virtually naked over Devin. "Look at you," Amanda exclaims. It seems like there is no longer any confusion. She turns to leave, but Devin calls out, "Amanda, wait a second." Amanda doesn't want to hear that they're shacking up and playing home, so she keeps walking. In a loud voice, Devin asks, "Can you just wait a second, please? Please have a calm discussion with me. Can I get that from you?" Phyllis laughs to herself within, "Jack, they're all sad for you. It's embarrassing. I mean that literally." Jack reminds her that this is a night for celebration, and that her rants are not welcome. "You must be liking it," Phyllis tells Diane. "How much do you enjoy it? You need to. You won the lottery, honey." Danny tries to get Phyllis to go outside and get some fresh air after she marries into the Abbott family. Phyllis points out that he knows her and is aware of the fact that she's evolved over time. And while Danny gulps, "Yeah," Phyllis breaks down in tears, crying, "I don't want to do this. I really don't want to, but I have to do this. Because of you, Diane, I have no other option," she says, pointing at her. Diane advises her to go home and sleep it off because it's clear she's intoxicated. Upstairs, Jeremy observes the action from behind his mask. Amanda, outside on the red carpet with Devin, is at a loss for words. He's upset that they didn't get a chance to meet up sooner. Abby encourages her to give him a chance. Seeing them together provided Amanda with the closure she needed. Abby intended to say recuperation. Amanda allows him to have 3 minutes. Devin proposes they go inside the bar, and Abby gives them some space to do so. Amanda pushes by him and cautions that if he remembers her favorite drink, it won't impress her. Abby remembers the night in question and her recent argument with Amanda in Crimson Lights as she is abandoned. Screaming, "This is incredible," Ashley bursts inside the Abbott home. She goes on a rant about how Jack's stupidity is on full display now that he's engaged to Diane. She can't believe Tracy knew but kept it from her. "Am I the only sane member of my family? Is it just me, or does no one else get Diane's true nature?" Tucker pours himself a scotch and sits back to listen, his expression one of amusement as he hears Ashley fume. "She has played Jack well. It is not lost on you, right? Simply put, she has achieved her goals." Phyllis maintains sobriety at the gala. She went into a room with Diane to apologize, and Diane ended up attacking her. "She tried to hurt me," Phyllis announces to the shocked onlookers. Back to Diane, she returns her thoughts with, "But it doesn't matter." Jack tells Red that by blowing up her own life, she has effectively taken her entire existence from her. Phyllis says to Jack, "You are so blind, Jack." Daniel and Summer try to interfere again, but Phyllis says, "I'd like to toast the happy couple." Jack finally has enough of her venom and says it's time for them to move on. Phyllis claims that this is all about love. "I'm still confused by this. I can't figure it out. This woman left your son with the false impression that she had died. Essentially, she acted in that fashion. If it meant protecting my kids, I'd give up everything. Everything." She warns Jack, "She will hurt you. Despite her willingness to sacrifice herself for her children, she is viewed as the villain, whereas Jack's mother is accepted and tolerated without question. She approaches Diane and says, "You know, don't you?" Phyllis starts to sway as he talks, but you can tell he sees through her. She loses consciousness, and Danny has to hold her up. "Mom," Summer screams. Nate and Elena are making out at the bar when he notices Devin and Amanda chatting. Nate sees this as another evidence that Devin is attempting to mend fences. Amanda, who is across the room from Devin, warns him that she does not want to see him apologize. Devin, assuming she hasn't spoken with Lily, informs her that he's dismissing the lawsuit. That explains why Jill just walked into the arbitration, Amanda concludes, and she exclaims, "Poof." The conversation abruptly ends with Devin asking if she heard that the lounge had been renamed in honor of Neil. Amanda responds positively, "That's very wonderful," and Devin shares how it helped him to understand what Neil would want if he were still with us. Lily and he reconciled their differences. Happy Amanda. Her best guess is that he's returning to Chancellor Winters. Devin is relieved to have his sister home again, but he still has questions. Amanda agrees, saying, "Well, excellent for you." Devin feels he has been on a path of poor choices, and she nods in agreement. He's making an effort to grow from the experience and improve as a person. Amanda sneers, "I'm really delighted that ripping my heart out was just a part of your road to finding yourself," while Devin insists that he didn't intend to hurt her. He doesn't seek forgiveness from her, but he does want her to know how sorry he is for what he did. She will get better, Amanda reassures him. "Don't fret," Lily says from behind them. Everyone in the lounge is gathered around Phyllis, who is unconscious. Summer worries, "I sensed something was wrong with her," while Diane asks Jack in a hushed voice, "What is she up to now?" "Now for God's sake, she's faking it," Gina says to Nina and Christine. Phyllis is only trying to make a huge impression, but Christine doesn't buy it. Victor informs Nikki that something is seriously wrong. He tells his wife to keep him updated as he makes some phone calls. Although Summer calls for an ambulance and begs her mom to wake up, Sharon warns that Phyllis' airway must be kept clean. "Oh, this is a surprise," Lily said to Devin and Amanda at the bar. "The two of you are getting along." When she asks Amanda what's going on, she says, "I know the latest on the case and Devin was telling me everything about his quest to discovering himself." She cheers to leaving the past behind. Devin believes that with the case behind her, she can finally spend time with her mother and siblings. Amanda, who also considers Lily to be family, beams at her. Then, Victoria bursts in and begs Nate to accompany her to get a doctor since Phyllis has passed out. Everyone starts running. Summer is berating herself in the living room for being the one who often interrupted her mother. Daniel tells his sister that he loves her and that she knows it. "Does she?" Summer inquires. Phyllis's friend arrives with Amanda and the others and inquires as to what happened. According to Nikki, she was throwing a tantrum before she passed out. As Elena puts it, "I can hardly feel her pulse. The paramedics had better get there fast." Nick and Sally rip open a bag of takeout burgers at Crimson Lights. Sally can't wait to have her fries with all that extra hot sauce. Nick has the itch to give it a go. Nick glances up to see Adam standing there, and both of them are smiling. Sally looks back at Adam and says he's been lurking. All he cares about is making sure she and the baby are safe. Aha! Now I see. Cheeseburgers. He'll tell himself that he's just being a worried new dad since you needed food. Sally values openness and candor. Adam gets up to leave, but Sally deadpans, "Yes, honesty," and he and Nick end up hanging out together. Nick gives her the side-eye, but she assures him this is just how things are now. Tucker has been unusually silent at the Abbott residence, as pointed out by Ashley. "So how about Jack and Diane, huh?" He ponders, despite his claim that he was never given a chance to speak. Ashley is furious because it is based on a falsehood, but they appear to be quite happy. According to Tucker, Diane looked great. Ash counters, she was arrogant because she feels she's won, and the two dispute over Diane's changeability. Tucker watched the way they gazed at one another and realized, because of you, that he had never before seen love in action. There it was. Forgiveness. "I'd like to think they can get over their differences and give each other a second shot because Jack and Diane were able to do it." Nate and Elena are preparing Phyllis for the gala. Elena and Nate ask inquiries and then declare they need to get Phyllis to the hospital as soon as possible, while Audra whispers to Victoria, "Nate's a guy of many abilities." Victoria responds, "Thank God." Danny believes it's ridiculous that Phyllis's condition is deteriorating because she's perfectly healthy. Lauren recounts the time she was in a coma and worries if there might be long-term consequences. Nikki hopes she is able to pull through this. Michael says that out of everyone, Phyllis is the one that fights the hardest. After the paramedics arrive, Phyllis is placed on the gurney. Summer will accompany Daniel as they trail the ambulance. When she asks about Harrison, Kyle says he'll go see him and wait for her. Lily and Danny reassure Daniel, and then Danny gives Christine a sidelong glance before she leaves. In this picture, Tracy embraces Summer. Once Lena inquires as to whether Victoria knows what sparked this circus, Victoria tells Lena to burn in hell. Jack and Diane are standing next to Phyllis as she awakens and realizes the redhead is holding her engagement ring. Jack figures out that Stark was the one who accidentally ran into him and stole from him. Diane demands to know the logic behind his decision to give Phyllis Diane's ring. Jack mutters, "Anything might happen with those two," before Stark suddenly enters to compliment Nikki on her appearance. She gives off the unmistakable impression that he was not invited. When Jeremy realized what was happening, he said, "My God, Phyllis. Where did this come from?" Nick and Sally reach an agreement at Crimson Lights on the necessity of making their current scenario work. Nick receives a text from Summer informing him that her mother has been in an accident and asking him to meet her at the hospital. He informs Sally that he had to leave because Summer needs him. Adam will supervise Sally's return trip to her house. Adam and Sally talk about the gala after Nick leaves. Sally is hungry and offers to drive herself home, but Adam prefers to wait. When John says, "I'll be here," Sally jokes, "All right, but don't count on any fries." In the Abbott residence, Ashley gives Tucker the look and asks, "Second chance?" As she says, "There are times when I don't even like you." Tucker chides that there is hope because there are times when she likes him more. Ashley felt it was best if he just kept quiet. Tucker keeps insisting that he deserves another shot with her. They can succeed if Diane and Jack did. Ashley says it's completely different, but Tucker counters that it's not. According to Ashley, Jack's confusion stems from the fact that he has a hard time recognizing Diane for who she really is. As Tucker says the teasing, "And you love me," Ashley begs him to stop it because she knows who he is and she loves him. She must give her full attention to preventing Jack from making a catastrophic error. "For the life of me, I refuse to believe that Diane Jenkins belongs in the Abbott clan." Nate reassures Jeremy at the event that Phyllis is doing fine, but that they still don't know what's wrong with her. After yelling, "Let's get her to the hospital," Stark says, "We should know more when we conduct some tests." Before getting down on one knee next to the gurney, kissing Phyllis' hand and telling her not to worry. "Do you hear me, my sweetheart?" Daniel and Summer are shocked when she says, "I'm going to be with you every step of the way." Lena turns to Nikki and Victoria and inquires, "Who's the dashing new face in town?" Lena sings, "Oh, but I do," as Nikki replies, "You don't want to know." Phyllis is taken away in the ambulance and Stark demands, "All of you people, are you happy? Someone better start talking." He yells at Kyle and Jack as he challenges them to explain how Phyllis ended up in an ambulance. Kyle tells him to leave and not return to the hospital. Nothing, Stark assures him, will prevent him from getting to the hospital. As soon as he figures things out, he'll be back at his wife's side. Others in the room all around you gasp and mutter. Ashley, returning at the Abbott residence, reminds Jack that she has been saying that Diane is still dangerous ever since she returned to town. He can't help but play the hero to that walking nightmare, so every time they dispute over it, it brings him closer to her. Tucker considers her workload and concludes that she has her job cut out for her. He recommends that she cut Jack off mid-sentence and do anything to wake him up, like hit him in the face. Ashley probes him for his thoughts. When asked, Tucker says, "Marry me." Sally is enjoying herself at Crimson Lights, where she has covered her face in spicy sauce and fries. As she cleans it, Adam gives her instructions. Sally has suggested that they try to eliminate the awkwardness. This is the beginning of a lifelong commitment to each other, so let's get down to business and work this out. Jack and Diane question Jeremy whether he expects them to believe Phyllis is Mrs. Stark at the gala. In spite of Jeremy's insistence, Mrs. Gurney carrying Stark has just been carried out. That's ridiculous, says Jack. Jeremy claims they tied the knot 3 days ago. Kyle sneers that he and Phyllis will never be married. Yeah, and you know this because you've been so close lately. Jeremy shoots back. Amanda asks incredulously, Phyllis is married, and she never said a word. Jeremy has also been challenged by Danny and Lauren. According to him, they plan to share the news of their wedding tonight. Tracy can't believe Phyllis made such a drastic life shift without informing her loved ones. Jeremy snorts in rage and asks, what family? Which pals? She couldn't get a word in. It was abundantly evident that none of you wanted anything to do with her. Nikki claims that Jeremy is exploiting Phyllis. Jeremy says he was just getting out of a difficult situation after serving time in prison. I knew just how Phyllis was feeling, she said. Stark claims they had a connection and resolved to take their relationship public. When Jack asks, protection from what? The speaker replies, she desired protection and I wanted to provide that for her. Protection from her, Jeremy exclaims, pointing at Diane. Phyllis's worries were well-founded. Okay, Diane, I guess we can start. Share with us your plan for Phyllis's punishment.